Greetings, Harris Nation, and welcome to another edition of your weekly Wellness Wednesday newsletter. This week, we're going to be taking a look at the effects of blue light and its overall effect on health, but particularly how well how it affects like your sleep. Blue light is pretty much any sort of light that is going to be coming through artificial means, typically through screens, electronic devices, smartphones, tablets, televisions, laptops, those kind of things. Now, typically, what's interesting about blue light, when you mention the color blue, it often has like a negative or maybe even like a low energy kind of feel. This mood meter here is taken from Yale University when they actually use it with like children and trying to say like, hey, if you were to describe yourself as a mood, like how are you feeling? And then kids could just sort of like pick a color or pick a word. And it's funny how a lot of the low energies or sad or down in the dumps, in fact, even the word having the blues has an indication that you're kind of sad or maybe you have the low energy. You're not really too emphatic about anything. In the scientific community, however, blue energy is actually quite the opposite. We know for a fact that stars, for instance, that have blue light or that give off blue light are the hottest and brightest stars in the galaxy. And in fact, the UV light, if you're looking at the spectrum of all forms of visible light, blue and violet typically have the highest energy. They have the highest frequency. They have the shortest wavelength, and so because of that short wavelength and high frequency, they tend to have more energy than, say, red, orange, or yellow light. And so blue typically, or that's not typically, just blue light in scientific means actually has a higher energy. And because of that, it can be good. It can be good. So blue light actually is really important. It's one of those things that actually boosts energy and can improve mood. But too much of it can actually be pretty bad. And so the scientific study that I was going to share with everybody this week was it came from the University of Harvard or Harvard University's medicals team, and they kind of did a pretty long study on like effect of blue light and how it affects brain and body. And what they really found is it kind of messes with melatonin levels and the circadian rhythm of your body. So your body has a natural rhythm of like when it wants to be awake, when it wants to be alert, and also when it wants to like pare down and when it wants to rest and when it wants to really kind of take it easy. Well, all that extra light actually kind of messes with that melatonin hormone and can kind of, I guess, get your body out of sync. This nice little page here, if you want to maybe press pause on this video and take a look at the picture over here on the left, it really kind of shows a lot of the different effects of the blue light, how it affects your brain and body. One thing to note here, it does say by disrupting melatonin, smartphone light ruins sleep schedules. This leads to all kinds of health problems. It is not just smartphone light, so I don't want you to think that only smartphones cause this. It's any sort of like extra UV radiation. So it could just be coming from even LED lights in your home. So a lot of people go to LED lights just because they are more affordable, they last a lot longer, but they also typically are blue or more blue than the traditional lights that you used to have in your home. So that yellow or orangey kind of light actually had a lower frequency, not as much energy. So LEDs, smartphone lights, any sort of screen will typically have more blue light and it will have more of a negative effect. Anyway, so because of this whole like shift of your circadian rhythm, it really kind of messes with a lot of other parts of your body. Everything from brains to eyes to even the hormones in your stomach that even can tell your brain that when it's full, that hormone is actually starting to get shut off. So people end up eating more. They end up eating for longer periods of time. They don't feel as hungry, and that can lead to all sorts of other types of issues. Then, therefore, like with the brain itself not being able to really shut off and rest, it can affect memory and learning the next day. So think about our kids, our students, or even our own children who maybe get way too much screen time, especially at night, and we see those kids every day. Right? They are just like constantly absorbing all that blue light, and you wonder why the next day they just look so tired and they didn't really do anything physically. It's just that their brain has just been like absorbing all this UV radiation, particularly on the blue side, and it's really kind of messing with their natural rhythms. All right. So, what are some things that you can do? So number one, I guess the most obvious thing would be avoid looking at screens beginning 2 to 3 hours before bed. that's probably going to be like the biggest thing. Like we have we're kind of a rule in our house, like once dinner hits, we pretty much just turn off all devices unless it's like a weekend night where we're going to like kind of stay up. We do have a Friday family fun night where you typically will watch a movie or something like that. But for the most part, we try to turn off all screens, computers, phones, all that stuff 2 to 3 hours before bed. You could go and actually get some dimmer reading lights, maybe even like a reddish color or orange color for night lights. I thought that was kind of interesting that came out of the study. The other thing is on the flip side of that, during the daytime, expose yourself to lots of bright light. So that actually will boost your ability to sleep at night, and it really kind of corrects a lot of that melatonin production. For more information, if you wanted to read the whole article, you could just kind of Google it, or you could just go to the Harvard site that's here below and take a look into some more detail with the whole thing. All right, so I hope that was great. I hope you enjoyed something. I learned a lot by kind of looking into this. This topic, by the way, was recommended by one of our colleagues. So if you'd like us to look at something a little bit more in detail and then share that with the rest of the group, feel free to hit us up. Appreciate it. Have a great night, great weekend, or a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.